Senator and Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey. Hey, Mike.
That was a good ad. That was a good ad. Everybody could benefit from that, not just seniors.
And on Saturday you were out. Did you actually do the 5K?
I did not, because I had to go from the Tunnel to Towers to Lansing to give a commencement address for the homeschoolers of Michigan.
Oh my gosh, you're a busy commencement speaker.
But it was a kind of a wet, cold morning there at Tunnel to Towers. Were you guys there?
We were. In fact, JTV's Jeff Steers got this photo of you with Jan Gonzo.
Yeah, it was pretty wet. We all looked like drowned rats.
Wow. Where'd you get that shirt?
Nice. I got it. It's a pretty nice shirt, isn't it?
It is.
Huh? I got a lot of compliments that day for that shirt.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I got it online from a golf shirt site.
The only one with the umbrella.
Well, I'm not an idiot, you know. I mean, she is.
So if
I was going to go from there to home, I would have just dissed the umbrella. But I was trying to stay halfway dry.
Because you're a commencement speaker.
Right.
You also a commencement speaker a little over a week ago at Spring Arbor University. Mm-hmm. Now, I believe your grandson was in that audience, graduate, right?
Pretty special. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool to be able to do that.
So did he know you were going to be? Did you direct your message? Were you speaking to him during the speech?
Just at the very beginning. Just the very beginning. You don't know Carter very well, but he's a tall, big, gregarious, hard-driving kid,
I think he was on our show once, or he came
I think
in
you're
with
right.
you.
I think you're right. Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations to Carter and all the class of 2022. The budget. On Friday, everyone got really excited because the Senate Fiscal Agency projecting we have so much more money than we don't know what to do with. Mm-hmm. Are we really at that point where that's the problem, is how to spend the excess revenue?
That's the current problem.
Uh-huh.
What we don't know, but I think we can take a guess at, is that how sustainable that is long term. I remember my first year, I believe this is correct, but my first year in the House, our budget, the state budget, was $48 billion. Mm-hmm. This year is going to be around $70 billion. That is an unbelievable increase, and most of that is ongoing income. It's not, just one-time federal money. But I do think we need to be prudent going forward because there's ups and downs.
Well, this influx is all credited to the pandemic, with government dollars into the state, and also, people also benefiting from more money. Spending is higher, so tax revenue is higher.
State sales tax revenue is much higher.
Everyone thinks it's just temporary.
Yeah.
So one of the things being discussed, though, is a tax cut. Mm-hmm. And that's what Senate Republicans are looking at now.
Right.
Democrats are saying, well, that's a year away, a benefit of a tax cut. And the governor's saying, well, let's just send everybody $500. Mm-hmm. What's the difference?
Night and day, be one start, We've been working on our tax plan. She's already vetoed a similar one already. Mm-hmm. It's far more important to provide the signal of long-term certainty, making sure Michigan is attractive to capital, both human capital and in financial investment capital. And I believe I can say this with a fairly high level of assurance, but the idea or the notion of sending out a $500 check was born about 12 hours before we announced our plan. So I don't think it was like this long-term thoughtful, let's do this kind of a thing. I think it was a reaction to what was being expected from us. And it's a another feel-good move, but what does it do long-term? Other than another injection of money that could cause, demand to go out, continue to be out of balance with supply, and you know what that means. It means more inflation. I wouldn't have any problem doing both, but I'm not going to do just one. This needs to be a sustainable plan.
Doing both, check
and reduce the income tax, and the whole tax package. You want to do that?
Well, this being an election year, the governor would probably be hesitant to veto another tax cut bill as we get closer to the election.
Well, she's already said she's going to veto this one. So we'll see. She's got a couple weeks to do that.
The chance to spend on areas of state government we haven't spent money on: roads, infrastructure.
Oh, no. I'm not going to let you get away with that. We've spent an enormous amount of money on roads. We're spending almost $3 billion more per year now than we ever have historically. And we did run a supplemental that had enormous amounts of money in for infrastructure, water, dams, and roads.
Well, people in Flint and Benton Harbor still drinking out of bottles.
Well, you got a problem with the deployment of the money once it's been appropriated. I'll give you an example. We deployed $300 million for hospitals to help deal with, some of it was going to be for some bonuses for frontline workers. Some of it was going to be for recruiting purposes and retention purposes. And this is dated information now, but as of 2 weeks ago, only 76 million of the 300 million had been deployed in the department. So there are some constraints somewhere in the system where we're not getting the money out as fast as it could be going out.
I think that's a universal problem with all the COVID money from state government all the way down to those recipients.
Yeah.
Education, that's an area that sounds like everyone wants to increase spending, but there's a difference between higher education, community colleges, and K-12.
Right.
Looks like higher education is getting, or anticipates, or is being discussed getting a higher percentage increase than K-12.
Well, it depends on whose budget you looked at. If you look at the House budget proposed, higher ed got nearly nothing. The Senate's budget proposal was, I think, 11%.
Mm-hmm.
On
average.
Yeah, and then the K-12, $450 per student additional. Another record-setting level of funding that, from a historical standpoint. I want to require schools to spend a specific amount of that $450 on gap closing for students that they've experienced over the last couple of years. I don't want to define what that is. I want schools to. I'd love to have some experiments take place across the districts because experiments.
As a string to the.
No. Let them have their own plan to close the education gap, and so that they don't have to. I don't want to specify it. And then report back and see which ones worked and which ones didn't work. But and we'll still have that conversation before the budget's finally approved. But we know we've got a big gap. There are third graders today that never was in school.
They haven't
never were in
spent
school.
a day in the desk.
Yeah.
No strings. There are some strings attached to some of the funding proposals. You can't have mask mandates. You can't have vaccine mandates. You can't teach about certain sex issues. You can't use certain books. I mean, there's a lot of things being discussed. Is that right?
Well, I would agree on the mask mandates and I agree on the vaccine mandates. The education part for certain kinds of education, I don't think we should be doing that in younger classes.
Mm-hmm.
6th grade maybe and beyond, maybe. And then, I think it's prudent and the right thing to do for parents to pay attention to what kinds of books are in libraries. I don't think they should be classified as terrorists when they ask about them, which has happened, across the nation.
Parents classified as terrorists asking about books.
Asking about do you have this book or do you have that book? I think that's a perfectly legitimate question to ask.
Mike Shirkey is with us. He's our state senator and Senate Majority Leader. More with Senator Shirkey after this.